For being here, everybody. Stay tuned to CBS. Take care.
This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. That hijacked Kuwaiti airliner is in the air again, this time bound for Algeria. The 8th day of the hijacking brought fuel for the murderers holding the aircraft and freedom for 12 of their hostages. More than 30 hostages were still aboard as the plane left Cyprus just a few minutes ago. Anthony Mason is standing by live at the airport in Cyprus.
Dan, it was 1:20 in the morning Cyprus time when Flight 422 taxied out to the runway to take off after 4 days of painful negotiations and the execution of 2 hostages. As it took off, the tower radioed to the cockpit saying, "We wish you the best, wish you and the rest of the crew a safe landing, and we hope to have you with us again under better conditions." The breakthrough came earlier today when a PLO negotiator made his way up the landing steps to talk with the hijackers one last time. Somehow on those steps a deal was worked out, a deal that avoided everyone for the past 4 days. About 2 o'clock New York time, the fuel trucks were finally sent out onto the tarmac and the hostages were released in exchange in the deal that the hijackers have been asking for all along. We don't know the identities of all of the hostages who were released at this point. We do know that 2 of them have been identified by the hijackers as Palestinians carrying Jordanian passports. One of them a flight steward. The 10 others have not been identified. The plane is apparently on its way to Algiers. That's where the flight plan says it has got to land. But of course the hijackers still can change their mind in midair. Dan?
Anthony Mason. The hijackers are still demanding freedom for 17 terrorists jailed in Kuwait. The Kuwaiti government has refused to yield despite the murders of 2 hostages. Correspondent Mark Phillips is in Kuwait.
The men of the Al-Khalidi family were accepting condolences in their Kuwait home tonight. The women were mourning privately. 25-year-old Abdullah Al-Khalidi was the first hostage killed on the Kuwait Airways plane. Yet despite the death of Abdullah, despite seeing his body brutally dumped on the tarmac, the family's support for the Kuwaiti government's hard line has not diminished. There should be no more concessions, they say.
I not agree give hijackers anything. Never give hijackers anything.
The family has lost one member. It has another, 24-year-old Faisal, on the plane as well. But the Al-Khalidis say that if the hijackers don't give in, the plane should be stormed by commandos, no matter what the cost.
And maybe 50% killed in the airplane. We don't care. Maybe 100% died in the airplane. If they died by this way, it's easier, and we accept.
Yasser Arafat has been working to try to avoid that outcome. The speed and abandon with which his motorcade moved through Kuwait City today was a sign of how desperately the PLO wants this crisis to end. To Arafat, the hijack has shifted world attention away from the Palestinian uprising on the West Bank and to an airplane full of hostages. He wants that attention back.
I can't permit for them to continue in this attitude, in this savage attitude, during my mediation.
In his unlikely role as mediator, Arafat has problems, not just with the hijackers, but with the Kuwaitis as well. Their refusal to release the 17 terrorists being held in prison here, as the hijackers have demanded, is based on more than general principle. The ruling Al-Sabah family knows that above all it cannot afford to appear weak. It's already been criticized for not carrying out the death sentence passed on 3 of the jailed terrorists.
The movement in the hijack drama tonight raises the question of what concessions the Kuwaitis may have made. Concessions they will have to justify, especially to the families who have had relatives killed. Mark Phillips, CBS News, Kuwait.
3 members of the Kuwait royal family are still reported aboard the plane as it flies toward Algeria. Next week's crucial New York Democratic presidential primary is a lightning rod for debate over U.S. Middle East policy. Some of Jesse Jackson's past associations, among them his one-time embrace of Yasser Arafat of the PLO, still rankle many Jewish voters and others. This despite Jackson's disavowals and apologies since. Part of Albert Gore's do-or-die New York campaign includes heavy criticism of Jackson, heavy wooing of Jewish voters, and criticism of Michael Dukakis for being much more muted about Jackson. Against that backdrop, Dukakis and Gore went at each other today like New York street fighters on a whole range of issues. Our chief Washington correspondent, Bob Schieffer, begins CBS News coverage of the impact on the whole tone of the Democratic presidential race.
It was New York, it was Madison Square Garden, so naturally they shook hands and came out fighting. Today, Gore went after Dukakis, not Jackson, charging the governor had cut state welfare programs.
Well, that's absolutely incorrect, and I don't.
Well, the newspaper accounts are wrong. Then, let me respond directly. Let me respond directly to the question.
You're wrong.
With Jackson looking on, Gore hit Dukakis on the liberal furlough policy of Massachusetts' prison system, noting some prisoners just disappeared.
If you were elected president, would you advocate a similar program for federal penitentiaries?
Al, the difference between you and me is that I have to run a criminal justice system you never have.
When Dukakis joked he might eventually wind up with some of Gore's support if Gore dropped out, there was this.
Don't lick your chops too soon, Governor Dukakis.
When Gore said he was an underdog and New York liked that, Jackson couldn't resist.
I was an underdog for 45 years and 11 months, and now I'm one of the top dogs, and I just love it. New York loves a winner, and I'm a winner.
Gore's attacks were expected. He knows that Jackson has a lock on what will probably be a record turnout of black voters, and he also knows his only chance here is cutting into Dukakis' support.
Another lively debate. I like debates. I enjoy them, as long as we have an opportunity to respond.
But what happened after the debate showed the problem that both Gore and Dukakis face here. While reporters rushed to them with questions, the audience rushed to Jackson for autographs. It is Jackson who continues to draw the crowds. Bob Schieffer, CBS News, New York.
Stop Jesse Jackson, friend of Farrakhan.
Minister Louis Farrakhan's anti-Semitic comments were an issue in Jesse Jackson's 1984 campaign. But as the demonstrator outside today's debate proved, Jewish voters here remember.
That's the issue, that Jackson hates whites and Jews in this country.
What is the derogatory remarks he said about Jews? What is Jaime and Jaimetown?
Jewish voters remember Jackson's 1984 Jaimetown line, too. Jewish voters remember, and they matter. New York State is an ethnic dazzle. Asians, Italians, blacks, you name it. But Jews are a big, important group. They cast 1/4 of the votes in the 1984 Democratic primary here. Everyone agrees Jackson will get very few of those votes this time. That means they'll go to Michael Dukakis or Albert Gore.
I have endorsed Al Gore today.
Gore's strength seems to lie with politically conservative Jews, like Assemblyman Heiken's constituents in Brooklyn's Borough Park section. Heiken denounces Jackson and denounces Dukakis for not denouncing Jackson.
His silence on Jesse Jackson is a tragedy. It makes me wonder about his leadership.
One issue politically conservative Jews examine closely is whether a candidate supports a Palestinian state. Jackson supports a secure Israel, but adds,
and the challenge and appeal to Israel to recognize the Palestinians' right to exist and their need for a state as well.
Yesterday, Mike Dukakis had 3 exchanges on the question of a Palestinian state and expressed a lot more enthusiasm for it than I have. I don't support a Palestinian state.
I didn't express enthusiasm for a Palestinian state yesterday. I expressed...
Dukakis is right about that. His position is that the interested parties would have to negotiate the point, that the U.S. couldn't impose a formula. But Israel is a life and death issue for a very important block of voters here, so the argument will go on. Historically, Jews have been more willing than other whites to vote for black candidates, but they don't support Jackson, and some worry this election could be racially polarizing.
There is so much which pulls blacks and Jews together, and I hope this won't tear us apart.
Stop Jackson.
But if conservative Jews vote for Gore, that will create a tight 3-way race and help Jackson. In New York politics, little is simple. Bruce Morton, CBS News, New York.
70-year-old Senator Robert Byrd of West Virginia made it official today. He is running for re-election, but stepping down as Senate Democratic leader, a post he's held for 12 years. 3 senators are now vying to succeed Byrd as Senate Democratic leader: Daniel Inouye of Hawaii, Jay Bennett Johnston of Louisiana, and George Mitchell of Maine. The people in President Reagan's inner circle have always talked up Mr. Reagan as what they call a great communicator. They've bristled at any suggestions that Mr. Reagan is disengaged, uncaring, not in charge, or not a good manager. Against that background, President Reagan's spokesman went ballistic today over what former White House spokesman Larry Speake says in his new book about making up presidential quotes out of thin air. White House correspondent Bill Plant reports.
Geneva, November 1985, the first historic meeting between Ronald Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev, shrouded in a total news blackout, except for the official word from White House spokesman Larry Speakes.
Which the President said to General Secretary Gorbachev, "There is much that divides us, but I believe the world breathes easier because we are here talking together."
The President's words? Not so fast. Speakes, in a new book, says he and assistant Mark Weinberg made up that and another quote. Why? Because he feared the glib Gorbachev was winning a major public relations victory over the president, who he describes as tenuous and stilted. The fabricated quotes were widely used in print and on television, including by CBS News. And that wasn't the only time. When the Soviets shot down a Korean passenger airliner, Speakes now admits that he took words spoken by the Secretary of State and issued them as quotes from the president, since Mr. Reagan had almost nothing to say. Today, Speakes' successor Marlin Fitzwater lashed out, saying it's a damned outrage, and adding that the president does not approve making up statements in any way. In the book, Speakes acknowledges that what he did was clearly wrong, and today he issued a statement saying, "It's an honest book. I admit my mistakes." But many view what Speakes did as part of a general White House strategy to portray the president as active and involved, though he was often not, and to shield Mr. Reagan from questions.
My guardian says I can't talk. You got to go the next time.
And the president was not a hands-on manager. You know, he sort of let people go and do their own thing. And obviously, Larry Speakes thought he was putting the spin on it that he thought you wanted or someone else wanted.
Speakes said today that he told Mr. Reagan at the time what he had done and got no reaction. But staff members today described Mr. Reagan as livid, saying of Speakes, "He's not supposed to put words in my mouth." Bill Plant, CBS News, the White House.
And still to come on the CBS Evening News, correspondent Bruce Hall on a hard sell at PTL. Deborah Potter on the controversial new Super Mouse. And David Browning on quake fear and a cracked crystal ball.
This little thing has a nutty taste like nothing else in the world.
Well, to me, they taste like wild hickory nuts.
Now, where have I heard that before?
Not only that, I can taste forests and mountains.
This is a great moment for grape nut cereal. It tastes like mountains.
Well, it's true. Every time you eat them, it's like taking a big nutty bite out of nature.
Go for it, nature boy.
You know, I could eat this whole box.
The box, too?
Post Grape Nut Cereal, the one and only.
Suddenly, homes all across America are opening. They're opening for Coldwell Banker's annual Spring Open House celebration. More homes than ever before, so you're sure to find the one that's right for you. Just call your nearest Coldwell Banker office. But hurry, spring doesn't last forever, and neither does our open house celebration. Coldwell Banker, expect the best. A member of the Sears Financial Network.
Mustang GT, for people who want more out of life than a little peace and quiet.
When I need a laxative, I use Dulcolax.
Doris Jones talks about Dulcolax.
I like Dulcolax because it's very mild and gentle and dependable.
Dulcolax, tablets and suppositories.
Dulcolax works every single time.
The scandal-tarred and bankrupt television ministry calling itself PTL today held an auction and private sale, hoping to pick up a substantial sum towards settling a debt one estimate puts at more than $60 million. Bruce Hall was there.
Okay, do I hear an opening bid of $900,000?
The opulent $1 million PTL parsonage of defrocked television evangelist Jim and Tammy Baker went on the auction block this afternoon. Only 33 bidders showed up.
Do I hear $800,000? $800,000 to bid?
The house is famous for its extras. Its built-in pop-up food mixers, remote-controlled power drapes, stained glass windows, and Tammy Baker's favorite Swan faucets. But many of those attending the auction were not even serious bidders.
I'm a retired truck driver. I'm curious.
The Bakers fought to keep the house. When Tammy returned last summer, she kissed the ground, saying she wanted to stay forever. That feeling was not shared by the neighbors or mayor.
We didn't know them then, and we won't miss them now.
600,000. 600,000? I hear $500,000. 500,000.
They still tried to get a bid, even at $500,000.
It's a beautiful home and has a swimming pool on private beach, dock. We'd like to have a $500,000 opening bid, sir.
But still, no bidders. The auctioneer refused to go below $500,000, so the house did not sell. The auction brought in nearly $2 million from other PTL sales, but that was less than half of what had been expected, leaving the financially troubled ministry deeply in debt and facing a $5 million payment at next month's bankruptcy hearing. Bruce Hall, CBS News, Fort Mill, South Carolina.
Something really new today from the U.S. Patent Office. For the first time, a patent for an animal. The inventors didn't build a better mouse, they changed one, genetically, in the lab. Deborah Potter reports on the latest future shock over money, medicine, and ethics, and whose life is it anyway?
This looks like an ordinary mouse, but today the U.S. government gave it a number.
We issued a patent which, for the first time in the history of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, covers an animal.
Scientists at Harvard University genetically altered the mouse by adding cancer genes to make it more sensitive to cancer-causing substances. It will be used along with its offspring to test new drugs.
For the first time, there is hope for mankind that some of the age-old scourges can be treated.
But critics say that patenting lab animals is just a first step toward allowing scientists to play God.
The whole range of the animal kingdom is now opened to anybody who can afford a patent application for genetic engineering, genetic altering of animals for whatever purpose.
We see it as a tremendous backward step in terms of the progress that has been made in terms of respecting animal rights and the sanctity of being.
Opponents say it's not just an ethical dilemma, that so-called super species outside the lab could be dangerous and potentially harmful to the environment. But many scientists say those fears are exaggerated.
Unfortunately, in the science fiction press, they've blown this all out of proportion. They talk about monsters and Frankenstein.
The Patent Office says it's up to Congress to resolve the dispute over where to draw the line. As the law stands now, the only animal that can't be patented is a human being. Deborah Potter, CBS News, Washington.
U.S. Marines in Panama have killed one of their own men. It happened in what was described as a tragic accident early today. The Marines opened fire when they thought they spotted half a dozen intruders at an oil storage area near a U.S. military base in Panama. The man they shot turned out to be a U.S. Marine corporal. On Wall Street today, a stronger dollar and hopes for improved trade figures helped the Dow Jones Industrial Average close above the 2,100 mark for the first time since the October collapse.
It's a big game, big boy. But you got the stuff, 'cause you got off the ground this morning with a real winner. Wheaties, Wheaties, pure whole wheat. Now go tell your mama what the big boys eat.
What? I can get my picture on a Wheaties box? All right! Just like the big boys.
Or the bigger boys.
Look for details on the Breakfast of Champions. And picture yourself on a Wheaties box. Go tell your mama what the big boys eat.
Presenting the winning performance, the winning look, the winning ways of Buick's great American coupe, the new Buick Regal. Introducing the totally new Regal Grand Sport with a powerful fuel-injected V6 engine, world-class aerodynamics, each wheel independently suspended to grip the curves, and the stopping power of a disc brake at each wheel. The Regal Grand Sport, the newest member of a very Regal family.
The great American road belongs to Buick.
Oh, look, after 20 years, Michael loves Sarah.
You haven't changed.
I take care of myself.
And she takes Geritol Complete with nearly twice the iron of ordinary supplements.
Marry me? Again?
Geritol Complete for the best years of your life.
Excuse me.
No problem. We know about kaopectate too.
Kaopectate actually absorbs the germs that can cause diarrhea.
Kaopectate bags. The diarrhea specialist.
The pizza pie was invented in Italy, perfected here in the USA, and from here it has mushroomed all over the world. Today, the American pizza hit Moscow. Barry Peterson is there.
Two dishes here.
It was double cheese, hold the anchovies, Moscow's first taste of American-style pizza, and a sign of the Soviet Union's hunger for American enterprise. After years when Americans were discouraged from doing business here, the door is open. The Reagan administration has given its stamp of approval. The Soviets are rolling out the red carpet.
It's very tasty. What?
Commerce Secretary C. William Verity kicked off meetings today, trying to turn warmer relations between the two countries into dollars. And Americans have come by the hundreds this week to talk joint ventures. Honeywell announced a joint venture upgrading fertilizer plants yesterday. Occidental Petroleum will announce plans to build 2 chemical plants tomorrow. Americans aren't the only ones. Soviets will soon be wearing shoes made in conjunction with a Spanish company. The Germans and Japanese are busy signing deals as well. For the Soviets, it's a chance to cure a critical problem, a sagging economy suffering because of old and inefficient plants and mines. The problem is profits. The Soviet ruble is worthless outside this country, so most American firms take their profits as goods they can sell back home. Example, Pepsi-Cola, which sells soda in the Soviet Union and gets Soviet vodka to sell outside. And how will the pizza business get its slice of the profits back home?
Purchasing mushrooms from the Soviets. They have an abundance of mushrooms.
This new venture even attracted newlyweds. But it's unclear if this marriage of communism and capitalism will really work. Barry Peterson, CBS News, Moscow.
South African writer Alan Paton died today. He was 85. Paton was white, but his famous novel, Cry, The Beloved Country, was a powerful story about black people suffering under apartheid.
My grandkids always told me all about their trips, but I could never be there to share it with them. You see, I have a bladder control problem. But thank goodness I finally found the protection I want with a TENS.
A TENS undergarments. It's the only one with gathers, so a TENS can gap less than others and provides you better protection.
Now I'm as big a part of their lives as they are of mine.
Hey, everybody, smile. For protection you can live with, a TENS.
Organ transplants are a modern miracle.
Let's close.
Good thing we found a donor.
Can you believe there's a time when people wouldn't even talk about donating organs?
But the need is still critical. That's why Dow is funding a major educational effort to encourage organ donation.
Mrs. Simpson, Jenny is doing fine. She's a brave little girl.
Introducing A1 poultry sauce with herbs, spices, and fruit, meant just for chicken. So A1 poultry sauce makes the most of chicken any way you make it.
Shh. Listen to your mouth. That's the crunchy texture of a Triscuit. And that's the delicious whole wheat taste of a Triscuit. They're made to take on any topping or no topping. Listen to your mouth. Triscuit.
The Baltimore Orioles, who lost their first 6 games this season, today fired manager Cal Ripken Sr. He was replaced by Frank Robinson, who becomes Major League Baseball's only current black manager. Robinson previously managed in Cleveland and San Francisco. In California today, the words of a 16th century astrologer are causing a lot of 20th century anxiety. David Browning is on the scene.
To many people in California, there was one performance that got overlooked in all the Oscar excitement last night.
Let me warn you now that the predictions of the future are not at all comforting.
A performance by the late Orson Welles in a little-known movie about the old French prophet Nostradamus.
Nostradamus has given us the month, May, of a great earthquake in 1988. May 1988.
The way Wells told it, Nostradamus predicted 4 centuries ago that just a few weeks from now, the planets will line up and cause a great earthquake, maybe in San Francisco or Los Angeles. The film has become such a hit in quake-jittery California that some video stores just keep buying copies and can't keep them in stock.
We get usually about 20 calls a day. Unfortunately, a lot of people have told us that they're also going to leave town during that week.
I'm going to Tahiti. I'm definitely getting out of town. Probably going to Tennessee, actually.
Word of mouth about the Nostradamus Wells prediction spread across the state.
I'm scared.
The earthquake lab at Caltech started getting calls.
Good morning, Griffith Observatory.
Astronomers were swamped with inquiries, people wondering if the heavens will indeed produce a big quake.
We explained the planets are not lining up in May or actually any other time. And even if they did line up, it wouldn't cause an earthquake.
A bulletin is handed me. Martian cylinders are falling all over the country.
Of course, Orson Welles loved scaring people. 50 years ago, his War of the Worlds radio drama panicked the nation. And his friends aren't surprised. It's happening again on a smaller scale.
This Nostradamus, a charlatan?
It's the timbre of his voice that makes you feel kind of a little tingle goes up your back, and you feel this is the truth.
The truth is, California is overdue for a big quake. It's preparing with disaster drills, with fake damage, with fake blood. But no one knows where or when the quake will come, despite a great performance by that master trickster, Orson Welles.
I hope it's a trick. It scared me.
David Browning, CBS News, Los Angeles.
And that's the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather, we assume we'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
Introducing the all-new Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme. Four-wheel disc brakes, a multi-port fuel-injected V6 engine, four-wheel independent suspension, and aerodynamic styling even the wind can't resist. In short, the new Cutlass Supreme is not your father's Oldsmobile.
I've got big news for prune lovers who also love cereal. Actually, it's kind of small news when you look at it. It's Sunsweet bite-sized pitted prunes. Try them on your cereal, and you'll agree Sunsweet bite-size is just the right size.
Which personal computer is the best for your small business? Which runs the programs small businesses are using today? Word processing, spreadsheets, and runs them fast with better graphics.
No hurry.
And will grow with your business and work with your other PCs.
Got it.
Simply today's fastest selling computer.
No problem.
The IBM Personal System 2 family.
After you.
At your IBM authorized dealer.
Now for indigestion, gas. Introducing new Extra Strength Malox Plus. It neutralizes more than any leading antacid and dissolves gas. Nobody does as much as new Extra Strength Malox Plus.
I'm Kathleen Sullivan.
And I'm Harry Smith. Tomorrow, mothers who've lost custody of their children.
Also, Polly Draper of 30-something and Rhea Perlman of Cheers on CBS this morning.
This is CBS.
Coming up on Eyewitness News tonight, bad news.